Yeah, I think we've also heard last year when Minister Regev was visiting India, actually similar reports, and I hope we won't need to wait for the next war to hear another report on progress. I think the report is very positive. I think the progress is a little slower than the report. For some of the reporters, it seems that we already are able to launch the trains and begin the trade. But it will take probably a good number of years and a few more billions of dollars and perhaps some more geopolitical work in order to move this forward. This is an important project. It's more than one project. This is a part of the corridor, the peace corridor related to the Indian Mediterranean Economic Corridor, IMEC, an important project that was launched in 2018. And there are a number of versions for this, connecting Asia, India, in particular through Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, Haifa, and then from there to the European markets. This became, in a way, more urgent because of the events in the Red Sea, the Houthis who have blocked and damaged sea cargoes and ships, and it's important to create an alternative channel. However, geopolitics and the war, of course, delayed some of this, and it's good to create a positive momentum. But I think we should not confuse another meeting on this project in the shadow of the war, and perhaps more than one, than the actual secret work on the railways themselves. I think it will take a little bit more time.
Well, I think that's interesting, the fact that on the one hand, before the war, this was the main talk of the town, the progress from this. But then during the war, the progress, because of the diplomatic region, it stopped. You're saying also because of the war, the need for this project only enhanced. Now that there is this ceasefire in Gaza, are we expecting more countries to actually vocally get back on board with this project that was already long underway before the war?
Look, the geopolitical dimensions of this has to do, for example, with Saudi Arabia-Israel engagement. Before the war, that engagement seems to have been almost in reach. After the war, it may be slightly more dependent on the developments, also on the Palestinian arena. Again, the project itself is important, and there are actually more than one avenues and routes for this and some competition. If it's up for the Syrians or the Turks, they would like to see, a different routes that may not even go through Haifa.
What would Syria like to see then when it comes to their role in even the changing new region of the Middle East?
Look, you were just speaking about Syria and some of the recent dynamic and looking at the dimension of stability. I can remind you that at the height of the war, we've had a very interesting occurrence in where almost on a daily basis, and this was before Turkey severed relations with us, we had hundreds of trucks coming by sea to the port of Haifa, crossing to the border of Jordan, and then from there and continuing. That's because the land routes through Syria were blocked and it was important to bring trade. The issue of trade and trade routes is extremely important, and it also creates interdependability, meaning there are two countries that are dependent on each other to create a trade route, and therefore they have an interest to keep it open. There's certainly some theories in international relations and otherwise who believe that if we'll be able to do that, connecting the countries with economic corridors, there's going to be an interest to keep a degree of stability. Of course, there's always going to be people who will try to detract them or to destroy them. But that's why it is important. But again, I am speaking to you from Abu Dhabi, having some meetings today also on this particular project. And I can tell you that here, they don't see the tracks yet.
All right, so a lot still in the beginning stages. Dr. Nir Boms, thank you so much for being with us on I-24 News today to talk about the exciting, perhaps, but still early stages of what we could expect to see when it comes to this peace railway.